ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ವಿಶೇಷ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ನಾನು ಭಾವನಾ ನಾಗಯ್ಯ. ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಒಬ್ಬರು ವಿಶೇಷ ಅತಿಥಿನ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಶಕ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆಯಾದರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವರೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ. ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರು ಹಾಕೋ ಪ್ರತಿ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್, ಪ್ರತಿ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ರಾಜಕೀಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರು ಬರೆದಿರೋ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಇನ್ನೂ ದಶಕಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಹಲವಾರು ಜನ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶದ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂದು ಮರೆಯದ ಹೆಸರೊಂದು ಅತಿಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂದರ್ಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಬೇರ್ಯಾರು ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪವರ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ ಪವನ್ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ್ ಅವರು. ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಎಲ್ಲ ಉన్నారు? ನನ್ನ ಮೊದಲ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ತೊಲಿ ಪ್ರೇಮ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ನಾನು ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಐ ವಾಚ್ಡ್ ಕೌಂಟ್ಲೆಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. So how I connected with you is the Toli Prema first movie. So from that day I'm watching all your movies, but I'm meeting you for the first time. So I have a question, I have a dilemma. How do I call you? Should I call you Power Star Pawan Kalyan or Deputy CM of Andhra Pradesh Pawan Kalyan garu?
You can just call me Kalyan, that's fine.
I think on 30 interviews ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಟಯರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? ಅಲಿಸ್ಬೋರಾ?
If I am focused, I won't get tired. If I love what I'm doing, I won't get tired. If I don't like what I'm doing, even 1 second things, get stretched out. It's like a theory of relativity. If you like what you're doing, you'll never feel the pressure or time. But if you don't like something, even a second is eternity.
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿಗಳು ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಗನ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲನ್ನು. They have seen varieties of gun style in your every movies. But here it is missing. We see Khadgam.
Weapon is an essential part of our evolution. Maybe I stuck to that. I was in Madras Rifle, when it was Chennai was called as Madras, I was a Rifle Club member. And I'm quite interested in guns and weapons and swords and spears and all the martial arts equipment.
A different flavor, different movie, different story. ಈ ಸಲ ನೀವು ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ, ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಒಂದು ಮೂವಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಇನ್ ಅ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಫ್ಲೇವರ್.
The director Krish came with a high concept of stealing a diamond from Aurangzeb. I think I like the idea. And we know that Aurangzeb was a tyrant. So stealing from him, I think what kind of guts this character should have.
Oh.
So I liked when he was toying the idea, I liked it. So that's how we got into it. And later, the character has more deeper, more integrated personality, more deeper connections. I like the evolution of that character. From a heist to, it leads to kind of, he caught up in a kind of a revolution, where he would be one of the pillars to bring down Mughal Empire. In that, Aurangzeb was the last person. After that, Mughal Empire got declined. I think that part I liked it.
ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮಿಲೇನಿಯಲ್ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್ ಓದಿರೋದು ನಿಜಾನಾ ಅಥವಾ ಇವಾಗ ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಿಜಾನಾ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೂ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ?
I think whoever at the helm of affairs, whatever they write, that's what we get to know, especially post independence. And British were ruling us, so we never had the chance to write our history. When they, why would they try to write our history, our glory and all? They won't write it. So it's natural, like whoever ruling, who are at the helm of affairs, I think they did what we should read. Though we know the historical impressions are there, the historical landmarks are there, still we could read it privately, but not as a society as a whole. Hardly we know about Vijayanagara kingdom. Just because in both in Karnataka and Andhra and Telangana, we know about Vijayanagara empire, and the rest of the India hardly knows about Vijayanagara empire. And for 400 years they ruled. But 400 years of Vijayanagara empire was never highlighted. Only 200 years of tyrannical rule of Mughals was glorified. I think this kind of injustice was intentionally done. But luckily, there are great writers, and there were great writers before, and there are great writers even now, and who are able to build that gaps.
Why it is that history is being interpreted every decades in a different manner? invaders being portrayed as heroes. Aurangzeb, we have read a lot about Aurangzeb, and of course your cinema definitely gives a shade of Aurangzeb and his character.
People are, because the problem is, will it get censored? The main problem is, will it get censored? And everything is about contemporary situation, contemporary appeasement. But when you want to write talk about history, show it in the right perspective, both good and bad. There's nothing wrong. I think political leaders, I think they do a lot.
Does it change with the political parties every time?
Not necessarily, but the consciousness of people have evolved. Today, not just because I'm in politics, I'm like this, because I have the capacity, I have the intellectual understanding. That's why I'm able to say it without, okay, if I have to face the consequences, let it be, but I prefer this is it.
Few people say it's a propaganda about Hindutva.
When they do it, it is not propaganda. When we do it, it's a propaganda. If they call it as a propaganda, let it be. I don't get scared. I mean, we're not going stepping back. If you want to call it a propaganda, because even in Ramayana, it is our history. And it is exactly, it matches with the astrological positioning. But people don't want to call it. Don't want to acknowledge it. So, but that doesn't change.
Why it is Mahabharata and Ramayana always seeks evidence to few people, wherein other region or other community doesn't need it?
It's the Western conditioning. That's it. It's a condition. When people are conditioned, okay, truth has to be spoken this way, that way, and constantly. And whoever has money, whoever has more political power at global level, and they bulldoze. That's it. But India will never yield for that kind of bulldozing. That's why we stood like a rock. And I'm glad that we stood like this.
Tell us about Hara Veera Mallu.
Hara Veera Mallu is about, if you look at, you're sitting in the land of Hara Veera Mallu. Both, and his adventure parties, if you look at it entire till the Krishna Delta, it is about ruled by Nizam. So the so-called Kohinoor is found around 100 kilometers from here, or 60 to 100 kilometers from here. It's called Kolluru. They found the Kohinoor's diamond here. How it travelled from Kuli Qutub Shah, how it went to Mughal Empire, how when Aurangzeb was ruling, how it went to Peacock, how it went on around the Peacock throne. And the idea is to bring back the diamond of ours, which is of our value, go and bring it back. This is the assignment he gets. So a tyrant ruler, a man like who unleashes tyranny in the entire parts which he was ruling, stealing a diamond under his nose is the quite interesting part, and which is laced with a lot of entertainment. The first part deals only with the travel till he goes to the Delhi, outskirts of Delhi, where he happens to meet Aurangzeb in a dramatic circumstance. The second part deals with how he enters the Mughal court, the Red Fort, and how he tries to get the diamond and what the drama unfolds it. That is the second part.
ಇಪ್ಪಡದಾಕ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಹಿನೂರ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬರಬೇಕಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರ?
ಬರಬೇಕು, ಕೊಹಿನೂರ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. I firmly support that.
Fun question. If you take Kohinoor as a place or as a person, ಯಾರನ್ನು ಹೋಲಿಸ್ತೀರಾ?
Kohinoor cannot be considered as a person because I find it that kind of diamond in Abdul Kalam.
If you have to compare with some place of India?
I am not able to connect to that point, but as an individual I can connect it only to a place. Because India has, every part there's a Kohinoor. You cannot say this is Kohinoor, this is not Kohinoor. So for me the entirety of India is, I'm so possessive. So I cannot say the one place is good and one place is not.
The whole
not
India
Kohinoor.
is a Kohinoor.
Yeah, that's what I can say. Which should not be taken even like this Kohinoor.
Let's talk about your 1-year journey as DCM. And I am very curious about the Panchayat Raj and your meetings. I was just wondering with the list.
Quite interested in our rural India. Though all my films are very urban based, but my heart is always for the rural India. That's why I opted for Panchayat, because this is called Gramina Bharatam. So unless our villages are self-sufficient and that is good for the nation, strength of the nation. I always love villages, so I opted for Panchayat Raj. Though I had other options, but I feel which is close to my heart. One is the forest and other is Panchayat. So both I kept it for myself. And I want to do something for because I want to empower Panchayats. I want to make sure roads would be laid out. I want to address the issues. I want them to create a lot of wealth should grow in panchayats. A lot of environmental damage is happening in the panchayat, how to undo it. So there's a lot of scope for me to contribute.
Hindutva is the proud word you always used and you own it. But there are two arguments. One community says Hindus are under threat, and another community says minorities, especially Muslims, are under threat in India.
It's a perception, first of all. How do we get projected? First, I think there is one saying which I would like to say. These words are from Vishwanath Satyanarayana. We call him as Kavi Samrat, like Kuvempu, like Rashtrakavi Kuvempu. So for us, it's Vishwanath Satyanarayana. There are a lot of other great poets are there, but in this context, I would like to take his name. He says, Anni anardhalaki moolam, manava pravrutti hetu gani, vadi kulam gani, matam gani, prantam gani gani. So for all the ills of the society, it is the human nature is the reason, not his caste or religion or his place. So if you look at this kind of situation where we are assuming that, okay, one sectional society, one group is feeling insecure, threatened, definitely these things do happen, but where it is stemming from is the ill of the mind. But the ills of the mind, the disease, where they are sourcing their strength from. Or it is in a self-correction mode, or is it in a constant aggravating mode? That's what we should look at it. So for me, to correct a human being, it is whatever the great text or whatever it comes from, it stems from the human intellect. So that's why these situations are real. I might say philosophy, I can say a lot of philosophy, I can tell you, but everything. But this perception, to a certain extent, both feel the same.
Both feel the same?
Both, no. Because it depends. It's very easy to blame each other, but somehow as society as an individual, society as a whole as an individual, I think we should address this. I think no fear should not left alone. I think it should be addressed. I think the more why the rise of Hindu concept is, why it is rising is because of constantly Hindus are, they themselves subjected and they themselves got fragmented because of region, linguistic barrier or a caste barrier. They stopped thinking as a whole.
Before Modi, it was more good environment in India. After Modi, it is a Hindu propaganda, Hindu promotions.
It is not about Hindu, because I'm also a Hindu. I'm not a mad, I'm not a frenzy, I'm not a fanatic.
And you are a proud Hindu?
I don't have to show my pride or respect. I don't have to say it, but I said I'm a very committed Hindu. I think I respect, I love my religion. I love my dharma. But why people opted for Modi ji, you have to understand. Modi ji didn't create it. People have changed, that's why they opted for Modi ji, someone who understands them. A leader who could understand the majority, the pain of majority. They are not asking to put down others. They are asking, please don't put down us. Don't put us down.
But it is the same condition of majority Hindus in other countries like minorities in Bangladesh, in Pakistan as well. When the attack is done on Hindu, nobody speaks. International human rights are just silent. Why it is that? And when it comes
that
to
is
the
a convenient
matter of
global
India,
politics. That's a convenient global politics. Global politics is no different from the politics of the street. They are more or less the same. Maybe it is in wearing a coat and suit, they do the same thing. The human nature is the same all over. For me, it's a very personal fun, but it depends on, I think India as a country, I think we have shown excessive tolerance. For example, what happens in Bangladesh, what happened. So Bangladesh is not of today. It started with Noah Kali. It became, I think Lord Curzon, he's tried to divide the state. Muslim-dominated Bengal and Hindu-dominated Bengal. And the people disagreed, both Muslims and a lot of national leaders disagreed for the breaking of Bengal into two. It started from British has started. They sow the seeds. I think you have to understand from that perspective to address these issues. The collective mindset what Muslims have, I think Hindus don't have that. That's why when injustice happens to a Muslim, entire Muslim world or Arab world comes for rescue. When something happens to a Hindu elsewhere, even for example, something happens in Palestine, the uproar could be felt in Bangalore or in Karnataka or elsewhere in India. But the same thing happens to a Hindu in Pakistan or West Bengal, there is no uproar, not even a statement. Not, oh, it doesn't belong to us. That's the difference between Hindus and Muslims. The collective consciousness quotient is quite stronger in Muslims than Hindus. I think
Is it caste dividing India or Hindus?
there is a lot of divisiveness within the Hindus, in the name of language, in the name of regional, linguistic, cultural, caste. There are many situations. I think if one understands the larger perspective, I think it's very easy to handle. For me, I thought I don't want the world to change, to do something. I always believe I'm a part of the world. If I would like to change. So be the change you want to be. That's how I got into this.
పవన్ కళ్యాణ్ గారు ముందు ఒక రోజు ప్రధానమంత్రి అవుతారని చాలా మంది అంటున్నారు, నిజమేనా?
So I don't believe or I don't see in such things because I'm a very practical person. I'm a very grounded. Just by mere tags and perceptions, I don't get into perceptions. I don't get into speculation. For me, God has given me today what best I can do for today. In these given circumstances, okay, today is my interview day, what best I can do for today. So beyond this, I don't think much about it. So today, I'm in the role of a Deputy Chief Minister and also I'm supposed to do 3 films, which I had finished almost all the films. And this film is for release. I think beyond that, I don't think much.
Janasena is focusing on other states because Maharashtra was a huge hit. And any idea of spreading Janasena?
I have a lot of, because people like my ideological commitment. They love my ideological commitment. But for me, I'm just an all-alone person who single-handedly brought the party till here with a lot of support base.
With 100% strike rate.
Yeah, okay. It's God's will. It's a blessing of God. For me, to develop a party is not an easy task. It should be a group of people who are collectively as enthusiastic, as committed as me. If they're such kind of people could come up elsewhere, different states, I think then that would be relevant to say it. Right now, maybe people cheer up for me, people love my commitment, people connected with my idealistic bent. But that is not alone, that alone is not enough to pull a party.
What made change Pawan Kalyan into communism to Hindu?
There is no such thing as communism and Hinduism. We're all integrated because if you look at all the communist leaders, if, for example, I think since morning also I've been saying it, if you look at Soviet Russia, after Bolshevik Revolution, the concept of church has been wiped out. So technically, after Bolshevik Revolution, which happened in the 18th century, if you look at it, so there should not be any churches. People lost the concept of religion. But the moment Perestroika happened, entire Russian Orthodoxy came, Pope had come, everything had come. Now Putin himself, Vladimir Putin himself has become practices Christianity. So what it shows is you cannot take away the culture from the people, the dharmic belief. So how do we, for me it is okay if you, what is the communism? Communism is okay, social justice for all. And what the Sanatana Dharma says, Sarve Jano Sukhino Bhavantu. See, so for me, both blend into each other. They are, one is in a contemporary perspective, one is in an ancient perspective. For me, I see the commonality. That's why I got attracted to both.
So are you a Sanatani?
For me, Sanatani is everyone in India who believes in the traditions is a part of Sanatani. It is not something I have to put that hat on and I say, I'm not Sanatani. Even if I wear a jean and shirt, my heart is like, is Raj Kapoor song says, Sar pe lal topi Rusi, and Patlu Englishstani. But they said, Dila Hindustan. Like I said, no matter what you wear, what language you wear, the Sanatani soul is in each and every Indian. So it's not just me alone.
How was your experience with Modi ji and his work pattern?
He is a very decisive and defining leader.
He told you Tufan, Andhi, Chandamaruta.
No. That's his loving comment on me. But here, I really adore him. I really understand the kind of hardships he had gone through. When the entire world hated him, he withstood that hatred. And I like his strength. He has the strength of a diamond. Life tested him. And life really put him in the hardest circumstances. But that man really stood up. And he's quite an inspiring person. The way he speaks, the way he's a tireless job, and he won't get tired. He keeps on going on. And his traveling, his tenacity, his perseverance, intellectual capacity, his wisdom, and his grassroots connectivity. Apart from all this, what separates him is the way he connects to people. Being the Prime Minister of India, being the global leader, his connection to each and every Indian is amazing. No other person in recent times could have achieved. I don't know about independent time, but he is the rarest of the rarest rarity as a leader.
Any suggestions, any ideas Modi ji has given you ever? Anything?
You know, only one thing I learned from him, he conveyed it to me, is always do something new, learn something new.
Learn something.
Learn something new, do always something new.
When I was walking in, I just saw Janavani, and I was amused about the idea.
Janavani is something, you know, with the sad idea when I was doing Kumarampuli. I did a film called Kumarampuli. So, hero being the IPS guy, I think that was, I said, I was very committed for social justice. Then I said, writer Mr. S.J. Surya came with a script, like when someone complains to him, being an official, how he solves the issues. In cinema, we can do it. I think that was, if you look at me, that was one of the triggering element which I had incorporated in politics. Address a lot of issues. Certain issues are very complex and very complicated, but whatever the issues we could handle, I think even before and even now, I think we're able to.
And the final question, what is your dream for Andhra Pradesh?
My dream for Andhra Pradesh is a self-reliant Andhra Pradesh, where we have to come out of our own debts, where we have to be self-reliant, financial stability, and which will contribute for our GDP, and where it will welcome, it won't go to this petty politics, where it will welcome all, where it will play a major role to integrate the entirety of India.
I have a small rapid fire question, shall I? Akkada Ammayi, Ikkada Abbayi, or Hara Veera Mallu?
For me, it is always Hara Veera Mallu, because it stands for, it has got a historical background. I'm not much into love stories, I'm more into adventure and action.
Martial arts or dance?
Martial arts.
Hindi or English?
Hindi.
Why we have to learn Hindi? Why you support?
Not just Hindi, we have to learn our neighboring languages, which is very essential for the cultural and intellectual integration.
Okay, lovely. Cinema or politics?
I can say art and politics.
Okay. Hindu Rashtra, Jatyatita Rashtra?
Jatiya.
Jatyatita Rashtra. Andhra politics or national politics?
National politics from the point of Andhra politics. I mean, be here, but look at national politics.
Your message for Kannadigas in Kannada, if possible.
So, ellarigu namaskara. I'm grateful to you all. Maybe a time would come where I would say a good message in Kannada. Thank you. Jai Hind.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಇದಾಗಿತ್ತು ಈ ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ವಿಶೇಷ. ನೇರ ದಿಟ್ಟ ನಿರಂತರ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಿ ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ಸುವರ್ಣ ನ್ಯೂಸ್.
ಇದು ಏಷ್ಯಾನೆಟ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿ.